We're gonna add this turbo to my already supercharged $300 drift car. The plan is to have the supercharger feed the turbocharger to get rid of all the turbo lag and make tons of power. Our $300 Amazon supercharger did work. Unfortunately, not for long, and it sent a bunch of plastic into our motor, so we gotta pull everything off and rebuild the motor before we can add the turbo.
This will be our biggest build yet. Let's get started. Oh, look at how much oil just came out of the exhaust.
Let's pull the motor and find out what's wrong.
My guess, almost everything.
Oh no, you guys. Why does this happen to us?
Probably because we bolted a $300 supercharger onto a $300 car.
We do have a real SC14 supercharger coming that, fingers crossed, won't explode this time.
A real used one. Trust me, we're not going to bail on the theme of this project. We're keeping this as budget as possible.
It is time to pull the motor. I'm excited once we get this off, we'll crack the head open and see how much plastic is actually in this motor.
I don't think it's too bad. There's definitely blow by and we're getting a lot of oil out of the exhaust, but it still ran. When we did the Timu supercharger, it was toast, so I'm hoping it's not too bad.
Moment of truth for our head. Is it totally ruined? How much plastic is in there? Let's lift it off and find out.
All right.
Oh, we forgot we have one more. There's always one more hose, right?
Shocked at how clean this is. The only piece I see is that little guy right there.
So there's not big chunks in the pistons. That is a very good sign. Now let's flip this head over and see how our valves are looking. That's the real issue.
Turns out the mesh actually worked and it kept just about everything out of the motor. I guarantee if we hadn't done that, this thing would be roached.
That was a very last minute, like, as I'm at the driver's meeting, he's finishing that. So we were very lucky on that one.
Yeah, 100% worth it. Now, fingers crossed. Oh, there's so much metal in that oil.
So with the Timu one, it was very obvious melted plastic chunks in the valves. This one is much less obvious. I have an update.
Is this a good update or a bad update?
Bearings.
That tracks.
Yeah. 1 and 4 were both spun.
Well, good news is we don't need those bearings.
We do have a set of race bearings we'll be throwing in there.
Our supercharger grenading isn't actually what blew this motor.
We discovered the blown supercharger because of the spun bearing, but the screen was keeping it out, so it would have kept running.
All that means is when we do this with an SC14, like a real one, that this is going to actually work. A little bit more power, baby. That's all we need.
All right, we got to go into our motor library and find the least damaged one. I think it's going to be kind of combining pieces from a lot of the different ones.
I don't like the phrase least damaged one. Makes me nervous, Dylan.
Welcome to the Rad Factory. Luckily, the 4-banger isn't too terribly heavy. We need to tilt that back though. Oh, it's full of oil.
Oh,
it's unanticipated.
Level 10, bummer.
All right, kids, always drain your oil before pulling your motors. This engine used to be in my first turbo off-road Miata, so it's got forged rods and the oil pan is drilled for the turbo oil drain line. I'm gonna pull all that off this block, then swap new bearings into our original block and put it all together for a hopefully super strong engine. We should be good for about 250 to 300 horsepower on this. If we get to 300, it's going to be an insane time, you guys. The old Garrett's rated to 350, so we'd be pushing a lot of PSI, but it is technically possible. We built our first motor. It's ready to drop in the car. Look at this thing.
Came together, dude. We were able to polish the turd that runs the turd, and now hopefully next step we're putting 2 chargers on it.
This thing's gonna handle a lot. We got the forged rods, we got the fluid damper, we got the oil drain, the oil feed. Like, we are set for boost.
I see no reason we can't absolutely chase the moon on this thing. I'm excited.
It's gonna be good, you guys. Make sure don't go anywhere. This is gonna be awesome. We did upgrade to 640cc injectors. That's the biggest we got laying around the shop, so we'll have plenty of fuel. We've got merch.
Hey!
We're super excited. If you guys want to help support what we do, check out theradfactory.com. This one is my personal favorite. We got simpler stuff too if you're not into the wild sharks, wild colors. We've got
Let's Get Rad. And if you're a Toyota fan, we got you covered.
Everything we make just goes right back into the channel, making cool content for you guys. So check out theradfactory.com. The motor is back in the car. We can't fire it up quite yet due to the turbo oil feed and oil drain plug. We don't have plugs for it, so we can't put oil in it quite yet. But we do have exciting news.
We have a supercharger, and now it's time to see if it's worth any of the money we spent on it. The box doesn't make me feel good.
Okay, so this is a real Japanese SC14 that I bought off eBay, and they didn't package it good.
Literally blew out a hole there. Like, this thing is just fully loose.
Like, they took a 30-pound supercharger, put it in a single layer box, and threw it in the mail. Why does this happen, you guys? Like, why can't we just get normal stuff?
That's because we keep buying cheap stuff, Dylan. If you buy nice stuff, it comes with nice packaging.
This wasn't that cheap. This was $400.
That's as much as we spent on the Temu and the Amazon combined. She beat up.
These were all in the Previa vans from the 90s, so this is 30 plus years old.
Look at that. It's actual metal. What a concept.
No, these are still Teflon.
Are these Teflon?
Yeah.
Nicer.
Japanese, nicer Teflon rather than China.
Well, it spins freely.
The big question is, are the mounting points the same? Can we just use the same brackets, or does Gavin have to fab up completely new brackets?
Well, let's go hold it on to the thing and see if it does a thing.
I'm guessing they literally just copied it 100% exactly. Like, they took a mold off of one of these.
So that's not a direct one-to-one. And neither is that.
They copied everything except the mounting points.
We're lucky we can just fill that space with some washers. I gotta see what the bottom half of this is doing. Dylan felt really confident when he ordered this that I would just be able to bolt it together, and that's not the case.
That is the only reason we stuck with the SC14, because there's a lot cheaper versions. As you guys have pointed out, we could have gotten any number of junkyard superchargers, but I thought this one would make it easier on Gavin and just bolt right up. Sorry, Gav.
It's just my lot in life. I'm destined to suffer.
So this is what we'll end up looking like eventually. There's a lot more fab work to do, but ultimately, this is about what we'll look like.
I really hope this thing lasts more than one day this time. I keep putting in 5 days worth of building for one day of Dylan getting to have fun.
We'll find out. I can't promise anything. We're going for relatively high horsepower here. I mean, this will be over 200 guaranteed.
Good Lord, man. This is getting out of hand.
Welcome to the Rat Factory. That's what we do here.
We got this thing mounted, which means we can mock up this terrible idea.
We got our flanges right here, so we just need a tubing to go from the manifold up into the turbo.
That also does not solve our problem. I have no idea how we're going to get this inlet to touch that outlet. So I think next nightmare I have to deal with is building something like that. Essentially, I'm going to use this bolt pattern and this piece. Imagine if those were essentially combined so that that'll pop out right through there. And then this guy will get welded on something like that. And hopefully I can clear out this giant dent. Some of Dylan's handiwork here.
What?
I should be able to get that something like that. I'm going to cut this in half, peel it open, put that on a flat piece of aluminum, and hopefully that flows halfway decent. It's pretty close. I'm not horrifically disappointed with it. Technically, there is enough space as long as we cut this bracket. Oh, actually, nope, it's not going to work anyways. Our belt's going to be in the way. So this is going to have to get cut and kind of mounted farther up into here. It was just going so well, and I knew better than to believe that. So this whole thing needs to be way more aggressive and basically exit like right there. I think if I cut out that wedge, I might be able to bend that together in a way that gets this where I need it to be. That was a full day of welding and grinding. That's the only shape that will work that actually misses everything. But it does miss everything. I managed to get a little angled piece here on the end so the air will kind of be forced that way. It's not a perfect flowing thing, but it's as close as we could really get with the parameters we had. All of this is pretty tight spacing. So we have 1/8 of an inch clearance there, 1/8 of an inch clearance there, We have an 1/8 of an inch clearance there and an 1/8 of an inch clearance there. Quite literally the only shape that would fit this space. But we got there.
Very impressive work. Super psyched on this. Now you get to do the same thing with some steel for the turbo.
Yeah, at least this will be steel. I don't think it's going to be easy. There's going to be quite a bit of figuring out to do.
It looks so freaking cool though with the supercharger and the turbo. That's insane. It's gonna be worth it.
As long as this doesn't blow up day one like every other time we've tried this. Oh, that's not fair. It did several dyno pulls, lived a couple weeks, but I really don't want to have to pull this apart.
Luckily we built the motor and it was our first motor build ever, so what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, and we're on a hot streak of absolutely blowing stuff up, so hopefully this one lasts.
Gotta give a huge shout out to the Frisky Dingo. He's been a huge supporter of us, and he even sent us some gifts.
Frisky Dingo, you're the man. Thank you so much. We can finally make our exhaust manifold. So these little plates that our buddy Brian cut out for us are what go from our actual header to the turbo. Normally that's mounted just right onto the header, but we can't do that since our turbo is going to be up here. So we got these elbows, and essentially we're going to make a little piece that looks like that. You can fill in the middle, and that way this guy can sit right there. Now it's just a matter of me welding everything together.
Yo, Gav, how's this going?
Not too bad. We're just tacking on our little manifold brackets. Tested everything. I like the angles. I like the dangles.
Nice. Well, Shred 80 Gav called, and there's an emergency. He needs somebody to wakeboard behind his monster truck, so I gotta get going. But if you want to go ahead and finish this up, that'll be awesome.
What? But it's like 100 degrees in this shop right now. You're gonna go to the lake without me?
Yeah, it's an emergency. It's got to get done. You know, what can I do?
I'll just work on this car so you can blow it up in a day again. Third time's the charm.
Stay cool out here. Don't forget to run some time lapses, please, to show everybody that you're working.
One of us has to. So while Dylan's out goofing around, this thing's coming together really nicely. I made a bunch of little slots in each one of those, basically just so that I could make that flow a little bit nicer. We've already test fit it. Everything looks phenomenal. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and bomb this in a little bit. We're getting closer and closer. Hopefully, I've got this thing fully licked and mounted by the time Dylan gets back from the lake. A little bit later, a little grinding dust, that's hot. A little bit of sweat. We got ourselves a freaking exhaust manifold.
Wakeboarding behind the monster truck was a huge success. How did your day go?
Honestly, huge success. We got this thing ready to go, and next step is just final touches, but everything is basically complete. We just have to do plumbing at this point. We've got a twin charger.
You guys, this thing looks so ridiculous. I love it so much. It wouldn't work on any other car, but we don't care that it's sticking above the hood. The more ridiculous it looks, the better.
And it's only going to look more ridiculous because the plumbing is going to have to come over here. We got to fit one of these in someplace. It's going to literally look like a McDonald's play place of just tubes and slides. It's just going to be crazy. We're close, man. It's looking like something. I don't know if that something is going to run, but it's looking like something.
Yeah, we're not that far away from being able to fire this thing up and see what happens.
If you missed in the last how-to that Dylan provided, you can create a little bead with just some Harbor Freight wire crimpers. And that way, when we're making our double pounds of boost, we don't lose any of our intercooler piping.
Our double-digit boost is coming very soon. Yeah, we're going to need that.
We got our little sleeve here, so next step, I got to take this headlight off once again, make more room, and replumb it. We've got our water lines, our oil lines, Everything's pretty much plumbed up except for the intercooler. So that's kind of the next thing. I got to get that done slowly but surely.
We know you guys love the budget aspect of our builds, and the Garrett 2860 is definitely not a budget turbo. Believe me, I would much rather use a cheap Amazon piece of junk. This one's been sitting on the shelf for a year, so we got to use it, and I can't even afford the $200 Amazon one right now. So this is what we got.
Hopefully this one works. I don't know if I have it in my heart to watch this thing blow up after one drive again. It's been too many times. Too much work.
I have nerves on this one. There is a lot that could go wrong, and I'm really feeling that in my chest because we don't have any money to do this again.
Fortunately, unfortunately, it's nice that I have someone sharing the nerves for once, because usually Dylan's like, oh, we bought the cheapest thing I could find. Why won't this work? So now that we're kind of both invested emotionally, I think it'll finally work.
And here goes Gavin, about to cut up our pop-ups again.
Yep, we got to make a hole big enough for the 2 1/4 inch tubing to go through there. So more holes, baby.
Mocking up the exhaust, one of the final pieces of the puzzle before we can fire it up. All right, it's time for the first fire up of our freshly rebuilt motor. Don't have anything else hooked up, but this is the first good step.
We've done a lot of work on this motor in a very little amount of time, and hopefully we didn't miss any steps. Now we gotta hunt for what we might be able to find. Don't mind me, just polishing turds.
So I do have some news. The injector settings, because we changed from the 460s to the 640s, the injector settings were way wrong. So there is a chance it'll fire up. I don't know. We changed so much stuff, but it is worth trying again. When you finish with that, we'll pop the sensors in and go for it. I'm really glad you left your safety sandals at home today.
Today I knew I'd need some actual real footwear.
Let's keep the safety sandals away from the bandsaw at all times, please. Gavin and I have had some debate. I love the, well, not even hood dump. Well, I don't know what you call it. The up dump, the windshield dump. I don't know. When you don't have a hood, what is it called? But anyway, I love that. He wants it normal exhaust, downpipe, and then below the car. Which do you guys think is cooler for this insane drift car?
I hate how much visibility it takes up. We're already missing so much between the headlights and the turbo and the supercharger. It just seems from a practicality and usefulness.
$300 supercharged, turbocharged, exoskeleton drift car. You're afraid that it takes away from the practicality. That's what we're going with?
Look, man, I've seen your drift. You need every advantage you can get.
I had some actually great drifts. You even said on the video.
Just trying to give you a leg up. That's all I'm saying.
Second try is the charm.
Smells like gas a little bit. I don't see any gas leaking anywhere.
We've pulled and put in a lot of motors, and every time there's always that one thing you forget. Gavin forgot to plug in the coil.
Oh, there it is.
That's our no spark situation right there. Third time's the charm. It's gonna fire up right now. We've been trying so much, we killed the battery.
Well, that's no problem, because we have a jump starter.
We broke the jump starter.
We broke the jump starter?
One of us left it in the trunk of the off-road car and went off some jumps. Okay, we got cayenne pepper lending us some juice, and fourth time's the charm.
No massive oil leaks, no nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks solid from what we can tell. Yeah, no oil leaks is a huge deal. I'm very glad to see that, at least on initial startup. Now we just gotta hook up the supercharger and get that going. We are almost there to having this thing twin charge.
Do we need to replace the fuel pump, you think?
Yeah, that's one thing we forgot to do when we were doing other stuff. Yeah, so fuel pump, heat wrap. We need a lot of heat wrap around all the stuff there, so we don't catch on fire like I did my first turbo Miata. You guys always make a big deal about the supercharger oil, and we always show it, and there's always comments anyway, so we're really gonna dive into it for you. We're draining the oil that it shipped with, but it does look very clean. This is the magnetic drain plug. There is no metal chips on it, which is a great sign because obviously this is a very used supercharger from the 90s.
But Dylan, are you gonna change the oil?
No, I'm going to pour new oil in and then drain it out, so then you guys can comment that there's no oil in it.
Smart. Good call. Good call.
All right, guys, this is the oil. We're going into the supercharger. I even made this tiny little funnel for it, so hopefully we don't spill everywhere. Right onto the exhaust. Perfect. That's what
Good.
we wanted. Just marvel at the twin-charged glory. It's absolutely insane.
So the flow of air comes through here, into our supercharger, out through a needlessly complicated discharge pipe, straight into our turbo, gets extra charged, comes down through there, underneath our headlight, down into our intercooler, through the blow-off valve, and then all the way in through there.
It's real now. The twin charger is real. We get to fire it up, do some auto tuning, and see what happens. If everything is good in the garage, we'll slap some wheels on it and go for a drive.
Sounds great. As you can see, there's a lot of steam coming off. Don't worry, that's actually just our heat wrap. It sounds crazy.
It's pretty insane. Yeah, it doesn't run all that great yet, so we got a lot of tuning work to do.
We also have to put a bigger fuel pump in it.
But hey, we didn't blow up yet. That's a huge win. I'll take it. I'm excited. It is technically running. Let's slap some wheels on it and take it for a drive. Yo, Gav, why are you rolling topless?
New life hack, you can't get gas over a shirt you're not wearing. That's called 1000 IQ moment.
All right, well, one way or another, we're getting this fuel pump changed, and then we're going for a drive.
Look at that. No shirt, no problem. My shirt would be ruined with gasoline. Now, one quick wipe, and we're back to business. I'm a genius. I am going to put eye protection on though.
So we got the old fuel pump out. We'll be replacing with this DW200, which should be plenty.
Sweet.
All right, boys, the time has finally come. We get to test drive the twin-charged Miata Death Cart.
Look at it. Just the craziest amount of piping. Like, everything looks wild.
Dude, I am nervous and excited and every emotion possible. I cannot wait to see what this thing does. Let's get after it. Nice work. Exactly 2 weeks ago, this motor was completely torn down into a bunch of pieces. Today we get to go for a test drive. Fingers crossed, baby.
Here goes nothing.
Here goes nothing. All right, we're moving. The idle is weird. We're already like hitting 5, and that was like barely any speed. Oh, we also we didn't do the heat shield in front of the brakes, and I can already feel they're bad.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it doesn't want to stay running for some reason. It's so much power. We're not even 5,000 RPM, and it's well over 5 PSI. I can't tell exactly, but it's an insane amount of power.
Well, that's not ideal.
That's not ideal. This is exactly where our first Temu one did its thing, but that can't be what happened.
She doesn't idle.
chose a street with a speed bump.
The blow-off is insane. It's so torquey now. Oh my god. What? That is crazy, dude. What did we get up to? I have no idea. This thing is a rocket ship that keeps turning off. Tried to bump start it.
I tried to bump start, it didn't work. We stall in the middle of, I don't know what.
Not ideal.
The stalling thing isn't ideal, especially in the middle of the street.
Did it just die when you let your foot off?
Well, shoot. Doesn't even sound like it's trying to start good.
No, it's a very different situation now.
We should probably push it out of the road.
Yep.
Pushing it out of the road.
We're about to hit this car.
Well, this is certainly not how we wanted this video to go, but probably how everyone expected it to go.
I still think it's just a tuning problem, but we won't know until we get back in the shop, so someone's got to go get the tow rig.
Cayenne saving the day, I guess. Back to the shop and see if we can figure this out. It's not ideal. Well, boys, we got 0 compression in cylinder 4. This is not how we wanted to end this video, but I don't think we've got the money or energy to rebuild this motor again quite yet, so I think you're gonna have to wait a little longer before we see this thing drifting. This is about the worst case scenario, and I don't know what happened yet, but stay tuned. We'll fill you in later. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.